Hey, movie-going fans, this is Chris Bolts, and I am coming in with a video on the box office performance of the Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, you see, according to the Variety headline here, box office, the Fantastic Four First Steps lifts off with a heroic $118 million debut. Now, before I do get into the content, do make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. Now, again, on its face, that is a pretty good performance for the Fantastic Four over a 3-day haul. It definitely does beat out Captain America: Brave New World. As you can see, the first 3 days for that was about 88 million, and it certainly beats out the Thunderbolts. Its first 3-day weekend was just north of 73 million, it appears. However, when you compare that number to Superman, it's actually still trailing behind the performance of Superman. Superman's first 3-day performance appears to be about $122 million. Now, Superman did debut a little bit early. I saw Superman a few days early on Tuesday, so that initial number does also include some of those totals off in there as well. Be that as it may, that number does show that Fantastic Four is lagging behind the performance of Superman. Now, that was pretty much what a lot of people on our side of the sphere was theorizing, was that Jurassic World Rebirth would actually lead the box office totals out of all three of the movies, and then Superman would come second, and Fantastic Four First Steps would come in last place. Now, when I reviewed the movie Fantastic Four First Steps, I actually gave it an 8 out of 10. I think it's actually Marvel's best movie since Spider-Man No Way Home. I think it's even better than the Thunderbolts. I really cared about these characters. I really did think there was a really good story there, and I wanted to see more of that world. However, this is what happens when you damage your brand, and Disney Marvel has damaged its brand just as DC has damaged its brand. Now, DC does have a little bit of a grace there because James Gunn is coming in trying to do a new DC cinematic universe, whereas Disney Marvel has just spent the past several years injecting politics into their movies where there need to be none, replacing traditional heroes with a race swap or a sex swap counterpart. That happens here in this movie, The First Steps, where the Silver Surfer was sex swapped from the traditional Norrin Rad, who has a rich history in the comics, over to this Shala Ball Silver Surfer, who has only appeared in one issue, I believe, of the Fantastic Four. So she really doesn't have that history there, but they wanted to go in there and do that and still be caught up in that quote-unquote MCU moment. And that may have hurt the overall performance. Not just that one thing right there, but all of it all taken together may have impacted Disney Marvel's performance such that people have just checked out of Marvel. And that is to Disney Marvel's error. They have injected so much things into their movies and delivered such poor quality that it has now shown up in the overall performance of this movie right here. And you see right here in the first paragraph, Marvel's latest comic book adaptation has lifted off with $118 million from the North American theaters. And those ticket sales were slightly ahead of expectations of 100 to 110 million. That still is pretty low. And then when we go over there and check the international performance is just as bad as it was for Superman. It's just not showing here for Fantastic Four First Steps. Going into next week, it is still going to be competing with Superman and Jurassic World Rebirth. So this movie is a turning point for Disney, for Marvel, and for comic book movies in general. Frankly, the future is looking really bleak for all three. Jump down in the comments and let me know what you guys think about this performance of the Fantastic Four. Did you guys go see the movie? What did you guys think of it? Jump down in the comments, let me know what your guys' thoughts are, and make sure you guys do like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff does help me out. And remember, this is Chris Bolts signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. You take it easy.